Hello and welcome to the fifth episode of the Digital Brew. I'm here today with Parry Mal from Phrasey. We're going to be talking about artificial intelligence and email marketing. Parry, thanks a lot for your time today. It's great to meet up. Perhaps you start just by introducing yourself, give us a little bit of background about who you are.
Sure, my name is Parry Mal. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of a company called Phrasey. Phrasey is AI that writes better subject lines, SMS, and app pushes than humans can. If you guys get emails from companies like Domino's and Welcher and stuff like that, then you've experienced our tech without actually realizing that you've experienced our tech. What it effectively does is it generates language at scale that's indistinguishable from that which humans write, and get better results, more opens, more clicks, and more money.
Fantastic. And how long has Phrasey existed?
About 2.5 years. We were founded on February 23rd, 2015. And we're now officially Putney's fastest growing AI company.
How many AI companies are there in Putney?
That's not the point.
Millions.
That is not the point. I didn't come here to pick nits.
I think one of the reasons I'm interested to speak, machine learning, artificial intelligence, there's a lot to talk about it, and it's not, I find it fascinating. At the same time, sometimes I think there's the kind of BS factor, I have alarm bells ringing, so I think it's quite nice. I've looked at Phrasey and it looks really interesting, and as a kind of ex-linguist myself, I like the whole notion of kind of language and how you apply that to the scientific level to language. How do you personally see? Is AI and machine learning fundamentally the same thing, or are they different? Are they different labels for a similar endgame?
So the term AI itself doesn't actually mean very much. It's a catch-all phrase which covers off various different modern technological approaches to solving specific problems.
Right.
Machine learning is one form of AI. It's effectively long-run pattern matching with some level of self-learning. As we're seeing computing power increase more and more, there's a new area called deep learning. And this is using advanced neural networks that basically mimic the human brain, have hundreds or even thousands of neurons firing at the same time, finding deep meaning within large data sets, hence it's called deep learning.
Yeah.
Beyond that, there's even more areas. So you have natural language generation, which is where a machine writes language like a human. You have natural language processing and understanding, which is where machines can understand at varying levels the meaning in unstructured human language. Then you have some really cool areas too, like speech recognition and machine vision, for example, which is where a computer sees like a human. We're seeing some great advances right now, for example, in cancer research, where you can show an X-ray of a pair of lungs, for example, to a machine, and it can predict with a higher probability if there's a cancerous tumor or not.
Okay, that's interesting. It sounds a bit sort of sci-fi, quite scary, looking at visions of robots programming themselves. Is that total myth? I mean, how far away are we from taking sort of machine learning to an extent where you almost lose control because things get so clever that they spot ways of, effectively becoming like the robots?
Yeah, that's really existential question about humanity itself and what does it mean to be human. I mean, there's various conditions of humanity. I think one of the big things is a human's ability to feel, and not just a machine's ability to mimic feeling. So I think like humans will still react in unpredictable ways. As far as this whole apocalyptic concept,
quite negative.
it certainly makes for great PR angles on the BBC, and it makes for great movies in Hollywood. Yeah. As far as what it's actually going to be, I'm a bit of a skeptic of that. I think this whole concept of AI coming to take over and us having to bow down to our robot overlords is during my lifetime probably mythological. Yeah. I don't have kids, so I don't really care about their lifetime.
Okay. I think you're right. It's pretty unlikely. What are the earlier examples of some form of AI? Because I suppose it's been around for a while. I mean, any e-commerce recommendation engine presumably is based on admittedly fairly simple rules, but it's based on that is tailored to the individual, and it's something which is not human thinking, making decisions on hopefully for your benefit. And let's look at it positively. Good AI should surely help the end user experience. Are there any examples which you can think of as, perhaps really good shining examples of early adopters of this technology, or is it, as you say, quite hard to spot sometimes?
So AI itself is actually not a new area. I mean, I studied neural networks 20 years ago in uni, and this is like, they weren't even new then. In fact, chatbots have been around since the 60s and 70s. There's a chatbot in 1968 or so called Eliza, which was trained to be a Freudian psychotherapist. Then some guy at MIT created one called Perry, actually the same as me, which is kind of weird. And it was trained to be a paranoid schizophrenic.
Oh, really?
And one day Perry met Eliza, which was this great sort of two chatbots interacting. This took place in 1972. It's nothing new, but it hasn't been accessible for a couple of reasons. Number one is a straight hardware issue, where you need a huge amount of computing knowledge to actually access this stuff, and to actually, train all of these algorithms to do stuff. And secondly, there's just been much more of a research approach to doing this stuff, where previously a lot of the computer science research was towards algorithmic optimization and hardware optimization. As far as people who are doing cool stuff right now, we were speaking about this previously. I'm really a big fan of Spotify, and how they personalize stuff, because their challenge is quite unique. If you think about Amazon, if you bought like a toilet seat one day, then you're probably highly probable to buy a toilet brush the following day. That's it's a hard problem, but it's a soluble problem.
There'll be patterns which are very common.
Exactly. But last night I had dinner with a friend, and on the way home I was listening to some Scandinavian death metal. I woke up this morning, and walking to work, I was listening to Master P, which is like some old school New Orleans hip hop from the mid-90s. Because my taste in music haven't moved on since the mid-90s. That's a different issue. So how can Spotify then predict my mood and what kind of music I would like to then listen to? What they found is they've basically created this sort of vectorization model of different musical genres and even songs from individual artists. So think about it about this like huge multi-dimensional space where you have Master P here, and you have like related artists to him. So let's say like Silk the Shocker, Mystical, and Sea Murder. And then you have, let's say, the Backyard Babies, who are like death punk from Finland or something. And next to them you have like Turbo Negro and Generation Graveyard and bands like that. They create clusters around those, and then identify within these vector maps what you are likely to like
at that time as well. Imagine the time of day, weather, what you've been doing. I mean, there's also the more data you can throw at it, the more likely it is that you get a better recommendation.
So you know what? It's partially about volume of data, but that's not actually it. If you have a volume of bad data, then you have a volume of bad data, and you're going to get bad predictions off the back of it. So this is one of the dirty secrets that AI experts won't tell you. The algorithms themselves tend to be open source. They tend to be accessible. And these days, especially with Google releasing TensorFlow, which is a sort of open access library of machine learning tools, you actually don't need a PhD to construct this stuff. The real challenge is accessing data. This is actually a really big opportunity in machine learning. I think we're going to start seeing data as a service companies come out, which are basically big aggregators of data. Not like Experian and stuff like that, but all this sort of unique data that's inaccessible to the public.
It's an interesting thought, actually. And we as an agency, I mentioned it earlier on, I get endless emails almost every day from a new platform that does something. For us, it's often around paid search management, who basically promising, because it's machine learning, it is better than humans. And I'm a natural skeptic, and I kind of think, I'm not so sure about that. And am I wrong to feel like that? Or is a degree of skepticism actually quite a good place to be?
You're absolutely right. I mean, I think it was Einstein said, if he had 60 minutes to think about a problem, he'd spend 55 minutes on the problem and 5 minutes on the solution. What a lot of these companies do, and I've seen them all the time, is they'll say, we are AI for this. And a couple of years ago, it was, we were Uber for this. Before that, it was, we were Tinder for this. We were Google for this. And it's just one more of these trends broadly fueled by overvalued VCs who are causing this. What I would really say is, and one area where Phrasey specializes is we've defined one specific business challenge. We looked at a different suite of solutions that could be applied to it, and we landed on some permutations of deep learning and natural language generation as a solution to our problem. Are we a pure play AI company? Yes and no. We use various elements of AI in various aspects of stuff, but we also have numerous, we have numerous facets to the business itself.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
But then it's quite nicely on to specific AI for email marketing. We do some email marketing, but not a lot. I'd like to do more, to be honest. I've seen some great results with email. Again, my natural skepticism and occasional glass half emptiness, email to me strikes me as an area where there are challenges. And there's some people just fed up with spam and they just unsubscribe to everything, and that's fine. There's no point sending an email if they don't want it. And even Google having the way they've changed the kind of Gmail inbox and having automated sort of hiding stuff, really. That I suppose that's an existential threat to email overall. But so AI within email, what was it that drove you to found Phrasey originally? What were the challenges you wanted to overcome?
Yeah, so prior to Phrasey, so two jobs before that, I was working client side for a large media company. I did a lot of email marketing, a lot of testing of subject lines and stuff. And I used to always wonder, why does this one work? Why does that one not work? I then moved to a email technology company where I led the account management team. So I dealt with hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of email marketers throughout the world. And every one of them used to ask me, what's a good subject?
What works?
Yeah, my answer was, we'll just test a bunch of stuff out and just pray that one works. That always felt like a total cop-out.
Mm-hmm.
So one night, 3-4 years ago, a bit longer now, I guess, me and one of my co-founders, Dr. Neil Yager, who I studied computer science with in Canada 20 years ago, got talking. We were going to a death metal gig in Cameron Town that night. Yeah, exactly. And we were at the Brewdog pub in Camden Town, knocking back a couple of Dead Pony clubs. And we just got chatting. We were, talking about this whole problem. He's like, well, I wonder, if the solution there could have an approach to it using his skill set. So he's got a PhD in AI and this stuff. Okay. And from there, we just sort of came up with the idea. So yeah, it's kind of.
And what's been the kind of key challenges developing the product? What's been the bigger hurdles that you've faced?
So we've gone through a lot of permutations in the actual optimization model itself. Mm-hmm. So we initially thought, for example, that it was all about individual keywords, because we had done a bunch of research on paid search and whatnot. And in paid search, individual words make a huge difference. Mm-hmm. In email subject lines, it's not the case, because people don't read it like a search ad; they read it like a sentence. So changing
emotional response of it, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And so we basically learned that individual words don't really affect end results. What do is the context in which the words are used. So what we've built actually is quite a multi-pronged, sophisticated deep learning model that can predict at scale which subject line is going to win a split test before it's sent out in the wild.
Is that so that testing, does that happen sort of across the board, or is it individual testing? So is it per user, or do you have sort of buckets and silos of people who you will be the test bed for each different message?
Yeah, it's tested in buckets. I've been approached numerous times by people who go, but I want the one perfect subject line per person every time, and that is just it's a computationally infeasible.
Too much to do, and I suspect it's more likely to get it wrong as well. If you're getting too freaky for everyone, you're probably going to get it wrong for everyone. Whereas if you do the kind of bucket approach, if you get it right for 80% of people within that bucket, that's success, and the overall campaign metrics, no doubt will be improved.
Well, yeah. I think the problem is twofold. First of all, there's that whole issue of false positivity, which you were just speaking about, and when you get it wrong, it looks really bad. But secondly, to have a technically robust solution, you need a bunch of good data points. Since companies keep their first-party CRM data close to their hearts, they don't have this aggregated data upon which they can make choices. So it's really, really high risk. And I've seen some people play around with it. I've not seen anybody who's actually made money from it.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting challenge. It's to not guess. It's the whole point. You have to scientifically understand their mindset at that particular time and understand what triggers would be most effective. It's a huge challenge, but a fascinating one with it. And where do you think Phrasee is particularly strong? Are there areas, I presume it's constantly evolving and developing, as all products are. Are there some particular strands that which you're most proud of and you think are absolute, real excellent pieces of work?
Yeah, so we focus on a few main industry verticals. We found great success in the retail e-commerce space, great success in travel and holidays, great success in financial services. We've also found use cases that we're starting to work on now that we didn't know existed. So we work with a large telecoms company, and we learned from them one of their big challenges was making sure that people were at home when the engineers came to service their lines.
Yeah.
And missed appointments were costing them something like £100 million a year. Yeah, so what we've been working on with them through both subject line and SMS channels is optimizing language such that it increases at scale the probability of people being at home when the appointments are made, which is quite a neat outcome.
Yeah, it's very good, and it's very easy to sell in for technology because most a lot of decisions are made on finance, and if you can say we've saved a fortune by being a bit more clever about it. What percentage is email and what percentage is SMS? Is it sort of more email you're doing?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Is SMS growing?
Yeah, it's growing-ish. We found that that market fluctuates a fair amount, where you sort of it falls in favor and out of favor almost daily, even within individual CRM teams.
Yeah. I often can wonder about the future of SMS and lots of sort of WhatsApp. I was pretty late adopter to WhatsApp. To be honest, my brother's going, "Hey, you have to use it. It's like SMS but better." And I was like, "Well, what does it do that SMS doesn't do?" But I do love it actually. It's very rare actually. I get text messages, and it's very rare person I'll give businesses my mobile phone number, so they can't send a text message. So it's quite interesting. But then email, again, I'm a pretty active unsubscriber if I feel that A, I haven't asked for it, and B, I'm just bored, and it's clogging. I get so many emails every day. I'm actually fairly aggressive. But I think that's an opportunity because the good emails, they're great. They really stand out. You think, finally, something actually does appeal and it works. And I think, I was reading some statistics the other day about how effective email marketing remains. And this is, arguably the most effective form of digital marketing. And we're basically search. We don't do enough email, but it does work.
Well, there's basically a few ways you can look at it as a channel, but one important way is this. You remember a few years ago in about 2008, 2009, where everybody jumped on the Facebook bandwagon.
Yeah.
And they all, threw money at building up Facebook groups and Facebook followings, and they had, even listing probability next to your friends and whatnot. And then Facebook went public in, 2011, I think. And they brought on Sheryl Sandberg, I think, who was a great, commercializer of online audience. And then lo and behold, companies then found when they were posting stuff to their organic following, they weren't getting as much feedback and as much page reach. And that's because, lo and behold, Facebook said, well, hang on, it's great being this company, but we also want to make money. So they started charging people for it. You found the same thing with Twitter, where you found the same thing with all these online things. The great thing about email is that data is first party, and you control when it gets pushed out, and that's why I think it's gone through a bit of a renaissance.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, and I think people who, when you subscribe to the email newsletter, again, it's very hard to avoid your sort of personal experiences, but I'm now ironically more likely to subscribe to a newsletter on the basis that most unsubscribe processes work pretty well. So I'll give it a few, and if I like it, great, I'll carry on reading it, and if it's annoying, then I'll unsubscribe quite quickly. So, and I think it's the niceness about doing it at your own time. If someone bringing up irritating with an email, you can park it, come back to that, and it's good. So how do you, the big question, where do you see the future? And when we agree it's not the Terminator, it's not cyborgs killing us. Where, do you have a kind of clear vision of a kind of roadmap for the next few years, or is it learning every day and not too sure? I mean, what's the big vision?
Yeah, so we've certainly learned a lot in the last 2.5 years since we commercially founded. We've been working on the tech itself quite a bit longer, obviously. There's not a day that goes by that somebody who is not commercially connected to Phrasee whatsoever gives us some great advice about things we're doing wrong, opportunities we're missing, and so on and so forth. But I personally think the real value is really using these short forms of advertising text to first party data more effectively. See, one of the challenges with AdWords, first of all, there's been about 15 years of research and commercial effort put into optimizing AdWords. Could an AI approach improve upon that? Maybe. But then you're actually trying to improve something that there's hundreds of companies who do currently, and Google are doing also.
Yeah, that's it.
And trying to beat Google at AI or Facebook at AI is really, really challenging.
Big shout. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're quite happy to focus on the proven business model we have, but look at expanding out both geographically and into further direct marketing channels.
Yeah. Where's your audience currently? Is it UK or is it English language? Are you operating across all languages?
No, we've got customers from Australia to California, and we operate in French, English, German, Spanish, Italian. Probably missing one or two.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Yeah. And as a customer of yours, I hope that it's not literally question pressing a button and everything happens. They must have some input, and how is there a steep learning curve, or is that something you can work hard to try and make as easy as possible for the adopters?
Yeah, we've focused really hard on ease of use, because we know like CRM teams especially, they're dealing with 20 different systems on a daily basis. We don't want to be that
another one. Exactly. That's a barrier.
Yeah, so we really focus on that. It usually takes people about 5 minutes per campaign.
Okay.
Usually what they expect is it to be like a really convoluted, complicated process, but we purposefully built it like that.
Yeah. And how long realistically, I don't know if you're doing weekly campaigns, presumably the learning gets better and better and better. The more campaigns you do, the more, I know we're talking about the quality of data, but let's assume the data is quite good. Is it right to assume the performance will get better and better and better? Probably the gains will start to fade off over time, but is there a standard sort of learning curve for the software itself that you normally recommend, or is it?
Yeah, so there, we generally find after the first couple of months, we benchmark on an average 20% uplift as far as sort of opens, and then it increases as we go down funnel.
Yeah.
That fluctuates on a client-to-client basis because there are sort of finite limits of how good one single open rate can be.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, if you send out a message to like 100,000 people, well, first of all, there's going to be 50,000 who are busy and don't see it. So you can throw them out.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what we basically do each time is inch towards the theoretical maximum on a campaign-to-campaign basis.
Okay. Yeah, that's sensible. I think, again, as soon as there's been lots of people set expectations, unrealistic expectations, and then clients inevitably get frustrated. I've seen that a lot with big management software within the paid service space, where it costs quite a lot to use this technology, and the gains are not as much as the cost. It just doesn't stack up, and they think, well, no, it just doesn't. It's illogical. I think it's
well, and we're seeing that more too with like the increased market players who are doing AI for X.
Yeah,
where marketers often like to follow trends, which is laudable. It's nice to be up on trends and whatnot, but a lot of them don't necessarily get the purpose of AI, and it's a toolkit to solve problems.
Yeah, it's I think Martech is the new fintech. It's just basically get something, shorten it, stick tech on the end, and
exactly.
A lot of it's about their own kind of self-fulfillment and growth, I think. Cool. Harry, it's great speaking to you.
All right,
appreciate your time. Good luck with Phrasing. We'll watch it with interest, and we'll watch this space. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed that. Keep tuned for more. Thank you.